Hi, welcome to the Athletech News Disrupt 2023 video series. I'm Rebecca Garrity Pinto, and I'll be hosting the discussion today on women in charge, leading beyond boundaries in fitness and wellness, with these accomplished women who have been instrumental in the creation and growth of some of the most prominent names in fitness and wellness today. Joining us in the conversation, we have Rachel Leah Fishman, CEO and co-founder of Arquetta, Julie Cartwright, president of PVolve, Lindsay Cook, CEO and co-founder of FitOn, and Sarah Choi, CMO of Core Power Yoga. Thank you for joining us today. We've got a lot to talk about, so I'm just going to dive right in. Our audience wants to know what challenges or obstacles you have faced as a female entrepreneur in fitness and wellness, and how you overcame those obstacles to create a seat at the table. So Sarah, let's start with you.
Well, I would say that I've actually been super lucky. I work at a company where we have an all-female executive team. And in my past life, when I was at SoulCycle, our CEO was a female. So I have been blessed with the opportunity to always have a seat at the table from the start. It's been, being part of an all-female executive team. It's been an incredible journey, just being able to be collaborative, really show compassion. And our CEO in particular is she leads from a place of love. And our mission is to power love from the inside out. So as a result, the culture that we build and we've built to date has really been one that really invites all women to the table. So I would say I'm a little different in that it's been a real blessing to be able to be a part of environments where I've been around female leaders.
Well, it sounds like you've been very lucky in your career, and also, not always the typical experience that we hear. So I'd love to hear, Rachel, what your experience has been.
Yeah, I echo very, very similar experiences to Sarah, and I can also tell a story of maybe the opposite side just to create some discourse here. But I've been lucky enough to be raised by amazing parents that have always told me I can do anything. And I had two brothers by my side, so I was the squish girl in the middle. And I think just being surrounded and being treated equally growing up has never made me feel any different. The first time I started to experience that was during the fundraising journey. As a lot of us know in this room who have dealt in the investor world, majority of the lead partners, those with capital privilege, do come from other people that aren't myself. And I would always get the response sometimes when I was sharing about Arquetta, I'm not sure I'd like to actually talk to my wife about this or bring my wife and see if she thinks this is a valued investment or a valued opportunity. And I think what I've done in those situations is I've taken those and made them positive experiences. Like, great, let's bring her in. What classes has she taken? How can we get her around this table? I think instead of looking at things from the negative light or the glass half empty, could you say, I've always looked at being a female as a privilege, and getting more women around the table as something really positive. And in addition to that, in our industry, the majority of those in the room sweating, the majority of those who experience these experiences are just like us. So really learning to lead with that positivity as opposed to looking at the downside of it.
Thank you for sharing that perspective. Julie, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Gosh, I'm going to sound like I am copying off of, these two strong women. But, I started my career in fitness in the late 90s. I'm not ashamed to say. And, I think that fitness in some ways is pretty advanced as it relates to strong female leadership. I was surrounded by really strong female leaders, really strong female producers, really strong female creators. And I guess I never thought any differently. I just thought I belonged in the room. I think in addition to that, I'm a consumer. I'm a consumer of what it is that we're building. And with that, I think you've got a great deal of confidence. I have confidence to speak up. I have confidence to say what I'm thinking because I know the product, and I've got an opinion that I'm not, at all afraid to share. So I think I've been really lucky. I too run a company that is predominantly female executives. I lead with if you ever heard my team talk, I'm maybe a little too emotional at times, and I just try and show up authentically for them and hope that I'm, showcasing exactly what I'm sort of expecting from them too. And that is that we just show up as ourselves and we're not trying to be anything else. So I've just been really lucky.
Thanks for sharing. So, Lindsay, would you say you've had a similar experience or different?
Yeah, I've been like slowly, I'd say, finding more women in my career to and see, really came from the other side. My career started at Microsoft in tech. I was pretty much the only woman in the room for a very long time. In a lot of meetings, I then moved over to Fitbit, where I was one of the only female execs on the leadership team there, which slowly evolved over time. And so there was a lot of convincing I had to do kind of earlier in my career to make products for women, considering they were the core customer, and how could you design for women and families and things of that sort. So it's actually really refreshing since founding FitOn and kind of creating a company really predominantly reaching women. I mean, I know in the health and fitness space, I mean, I think our biggest influencers, the biggest tastemakers are women. So I think understanding that customer segment really well is a huge advantage and superpower for us. I also experienced something pretty similar to Rachel on the fundraising front. You're going in front of men all the time. There's very few women in the room. It's evolving, and we're seeing more kind of venture capitalists that are women, but it's still trying to convince people that making products for women and the health and fitness tastemakers of the world is really compelling. And so I think it's absolutely a superpower of ours, and something I'm hoping the capital markets will continue to evolve and match these amazing female leadership teams that you have here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for leading that charge. Now, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your personal journeys as a female in what sometimes can be a very male dominated field. So, Rachel, how has the industry changed from when you began your career in health and fitness and wellness, and how much work still needs to be done to really create that truly gender equality?
Yeah, so I'll focus my answer on the second part of this, which is how much work needs to be done and how can we get there. I always think that there's work to be done on this and many other problems in the world. And I always say that solving these problems starts with within and how we lead as an executive at our company. And so the first thing that we do at Arketa is we examine our own bias. And that's everything from the vendors that we're selecting for our technology to the hires that we're bringing in our own company. And so something that we try to do as much as we can is how do we support other female founders? And a really good example of this is when we're looking at software providers for different things for our own services, or when we're looking to do swag, whether it's water bottles or sweatshirts, or if we're hiring, how do we make sure that we're actively looking at our own bias and seeing how we can change that by supporting other female entrepreneurs, supporting other diverse founders in the space. And I think that that real change starts with how we lead internally, as opposed to me knocking on the doors of the government. That's more of a macro conversation for another day. And so I look at how I lead, who I support, the people that I surround myself with, in hopes that that ripple effect really follows.
Awesome. That's a great actionable takeaway for us all, right? So, Julie, what has your experience been?
My experience has really been, again, starting in this industry, back in the 90s. I think that I've seen an advancement in, really the sophistication, the personalization, really of the fitness industry. I think too, I think that we're seeing a consumer shift in people's choice of what they do for fitness is something that they're extremely proud of. It's a part of their holistic self. And it's everything from what they do and the results that they get and how they want to share it with their communities, to even the athleisure wear that they're wearing, to actually practice that particular, method. I'm really proud of what I'm seeing in the industry. And some of the advancements that are made. I just think that we're going to be seeing a lot more in the future.
Absolutely. So, Lindsay, can you share with us a bit your thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the industry's evolved. I think as we're kind of continuing to echo, it seems like women are the core customers for a lot of the products in the health and wellness industry. They're continuing to lead their way with their, choice of what their, where they're spending their dollars and their time. And you're seeing the emergence of social media and all these amazing women influencers that've created their own businesses on top of kind of their followings. And I mean, all the favorite studio formats and the folks we have here. You walk into a gym or a class and who do you see? So it's like 80 to 90% women. I'd still love to see more in women kind of taking over leadership roles at some of the biggest tech companies, the gyms, health and wellness companies. I still think a lot of the leadership teams at some of the largest, I'd say, oldest institutions in health and fitness are still predominantly male. I think you're seeing an emergence of an amazing amount of innovative, growing companies with women in leadership roles and at the helms of those companies. And so I think it'll continue to evolve. I'm starting to see more and more CEOs that in major gym partners and tech companies being women now. And I think there's more that we encourage that and kind of nominate more women to lead those companies. I think the more we're going to meet the needs of our highly female customer bases.
Definitely. So, Sarah, I'm particularly curious to hear your thoughts since at Core Power Yoga, you have a female-led executive team.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in terms of the evolution of the industry from when I started, what we have seen is that it has gone from, a lot of predominantly focus on the physical workout and, with the pandemic, with the mental health crisis and just the effect on teens and college kids, just the importance of the mindfulness aspect, and the focus on mindfulness and the fact that well-being and wellness is not just about the physical state of strength and looking good, but it's also the mindfulness aspect. And I felt a lot of it while I was at Soul Cycle, but I think it's been magnified over the last year. And I think it's really helped Core Power Yoga lean into our value proposition of strengthening both the body and the mind. In terms of gender equality, I would say, I mean, I agree with Lindsay in the big box gyms. Like there's a lot of opportunity for more female leadership in those areas because I think it's predominantly men. I think when it comes to Core Power Yoga, I think we're looking for a little bit more diversity with men. So we just launched this year Core Power Strength X, and we really want to attract more men. So we're looking for the reverse diversity of we're 80% women from a student standpoint, we're 90% employee-based women. And so looking at how do we increase the other gender diversity of attracting more men so that we can have a little bit more of a balance. So still thinking about making sure that in all of our roles, we're not biasing towards one versus the other, but also as we think about the growth of our business and the growth of yoga, how do we make this more appealing to men? Because we know men need it. We may need it more than we do, but how do we make sure that we have that balance and that we're creating a leadership team that also can appeal and understand that gender diversity requirement?
Absolutely important to find that balance, right? That the leadership team matches what your membership base is and who you're trying to attract, and all voices matter. So I'd love to hear, just as you've come up the ranks in your career, who was your mentor that inspired and helped you become the leader you are today? So Julie, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, great. I actually have quite a few really strong female mentors. Again, really back from the early days of my career. I had, Andrea Bandos, who's sort of like a force in the industry that a lot of people know, Michelle Rigel, Sandy Seraphim, and so these people I really watched really stand up for what it was that we were building and not, just take every single opportunity. An example of that is I worked for Anchor Bay Entertainment. We were owned by Stars, the cable channel, and we operated a very small division of the company in terms of revenue overall, but we were growing pretty fiercely year on year, and that was the fitness division. And we started to get the attention of really some of the top executives, and just how can we grow even faster? How can we sort of take some potential like larger commercial opportunities with these brands that we were building? And I watched my mentors, sort of say, no, we know exactly who we're serving. We're serving them the way that they need to be served. To do some of the things that would potentially help us to grow pretty significantly, we would have to not be authentic to that audience. I think that was like a really important lesson. I think two things. Number one is the ability to say no and to back it up with why. But I also think that, this idea of knowing exactly who you're serving and continuing to be, really true to them and to why you've built that brand to begin with is something that's hard, but it absolutely is something that I've brought along the way to Pevolve too. So I still consider those women to be, my mentors.
Awesome. Sarah, who have your mentors been?
Like Julie, I've had a bunch of mentors, but I would say my most impactful mentor is my current CEO, Nikki Leandakis. She and I have started working together. We started working together 3 years ago, and she just comes from a leadership of love. I mean, I think she is one of the most kind, performance-driven, very performance-driven, but very kind from a leadership standpoint, really believes in bringing the best in each individual and really works hard to create a culture where we're taking off our armor, we're taking off all the pretense, and we're leading from a place of authenticity. And everybody can come to work as their best selves and just do good work. And I think that's created a culture of empowerment, a culture where whether you're a studio coordinator or a chief executive, you really feel seen, recognized, acknowledged, and you don't need to worry about red tape politics. So to me, that has really impacted my leadership style, because when I look at my team, it's similar to what Julie was saying is her leadership style, really empowering the teams, really making sure that they feel seen, driving performance, but doing so with kindness. And, I hate to say the word love because it feels very cheesy, but, from a place of love versus fear.
It sounds like you're really embodying the brand of Core Power Yoga, even in the executive team. So Lindsay, who has your mentor been?
I don't have one specific mentor, and I feel like that's my advice to everyone is to like build yourself a sea of mentors. Like I just went to a conference, I got back yesterday. I think I just built 2 new mentors at that conference that will be with me along the way. And I think that the more that I think one of our powers, going back to the theme of the superpower of women, is we're really generally most women are humble, they're confident, but they want to learn, they have the curiosity too, and they're willing to admit what they know and don't know. And I love that kind of that superpower that a lot of women have is being authentic to ourselves and kind of being willing to ask for help where it's needed. And I think that along my career, whether it's starting Fit On and the 4 years of mentors I've built through there, from my experience at Fitbit, through my career in tech, I just think the more amazing mentors you can build and become this army of advice where you want a connection to someone, you want to learn about something, you're just super curious and able to kind of continue to gain information in a new area. That's kind of the more benefit for you. And so I definitely have a group of folks I go to, but I'm looking to continue to gather and build more mentors along the way.
Very interesting. I will say a mentor of mine, her advice is to create a board of directors for yourself. And it really sounds like that's what you're doing. You're surrounding yourself with. So, Rachel, any particular mentor or a few mentors that you've learned from over the years?
Yeah, I really go off of what everybody else has been saying, is finding a few and continuing to grow those. Something that's been extremely helpful for me actually has been listening to people that I don't know. So I listen to podcasts all the time of other founders of amazing tech companies. Think Evernote, Notion, you name it. Their marketing teams, their product teams. And where I actually learn the most is from mentors, is listening to their stories and how they handled problems and trying to pattern match and use that to teach myself for solving problems. Because whenever I'm experiencing something and we go to a friend and the friend's like, oh, I have this prescriptive advice for you, we all know it never works out because they're not in your brain. They don't have the full context. And so what I've looked for the most in mentorship is actually that quality of storytelling and sharing similar experiences and learning how I can solve my own problems and obstacles. And then the second thing that I look for in mentorship is just people that support you and want to be around the table, people that are consistently cheering you on through the ups and the downs. And potentially that's not even teaching you lessons. It's just having people that support you. And so for me, that's going to be my co-founder. That's going to be the people that have invested in Arqueta. That's going to be my friend that I grew up with, who mentors me in a very different way beyond education and just gives me a hug because she has no idea what a tech company even does at the end of the day. And those are also some of the most beautiful mentors to have around the room.
Absolutely. So thank you all for sharing a bit of your journeys, the struggles you've gone through. Let's go a little bit deeper into how you're transforming the fitness and wellness industry. So Lindsay, with FitOn having nearly 15 million users, how do you feel content innovation is driving more people to move?
Yeah, I mean, the secret I would tell you is it's not just content innovation. I think that a lot of people before FitOn created a lot of health and wellness apps and just shove a lot of content into it and kind of created like a YouTube and an app, and it never really worked. And I think what we did really differently was focus more on driving engagements and, caring about the customers that come in and not just trying to take their money at the door. And we've done that through content innovation, but also just building a really 5-star product experience and a social experience where you can work out with friends and do challenges together and make it not only just about fitness, but making it about broader wellness, where you can do workouts, you can do mindfulness, you can do nutrition, and have it all in one and have this amazing wellness companion in your pocket. And I mean, I do love the power of content and digital because I used to work in hardware for many years, and it's really hard to move fast in the hardware space. You have to wait about 12 months for the hardware to hit the floor. And in digital, you can really innovate fast and launch things in the matter of days. And that's really where we've seen so much innovation, is the combination of the content and the product and the community coming together and really building a hybrid solution. So one of the things that FitOn does is we have an amazing library of content, but we also have been working with major gyms and have a great hybrid solution where you can get access to gym classes in addition to doing digital. And so to me, I think that you just have to continue to iterate on the content, and how we've gotten to our 15 million members is just being building on it time over time and listening to our customers' needs and evolving it. And so continuing to listen to what they want in terms of content, but continuing to go beyond it with product, community, and experience.
So staying on that theme of what your members and the community is asking for, what fitness trends are you seeing? And how has the way they've consumed that content changed over time?
Yeah, I think there it was always evolutions, and we've got over kind of 1 billion data minutes of workouts being taken to look through and sift through the data. I mean, I think the common trends are probably pretty similar across different categories, but the strength training, cardio, stretch, yoga, toning, kind of any, I'd say, general functional training that you can do every day, fit into your every day is always going to be the trend line. You continue to see kind of, I think, movement in other areas like, specific areas like Pilates or kind of, kickboxing, you name it. But the main core content, I think, is continuing to be in those main categories where people are getting functional strength training. They're getting cardio workouts. They're getting yoga and stretch and stuff that they can do anywhere. We're also seeing kind of, we really kind of saw a huge opportunity for more kind of bite-sized workouts where people could kind of fit them into their busy schedule, like, the 10 to 20-minute workout you could do every day. And then we've also seen kind of an emergence of people wanting more broader wellness content. So we've layered in nutrition, we've layered in mindfulness. People really are looking for solutions for self-care and how can they stay active in a busy world. And so I think the more that you bring variety and make it super convenient to people, that for us is where I think kind of the secret sauce comes. And you can continue to evolve in all of these. You have to have kind of a big platform of options for people. But I think if you just really lean into what are the most common things that people could go and say that they've experienced a workout every day that they want to do the rest of their lives, that's something that I think is gonna continue to resonate with customers.
Awesome. So Julie, Pevolve is one of the hottest brands in fitness right now. What is behind your recent growth and what makes Pevolve an industry disruptor?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying that. These last couple of years have been some of the best years of my life, really building this with the founder from the ground up. But 2023, it just doesn't get any better than that. Obviously, I don't know if everyone's heard, but Jennifer Aniston joined our company, in June of this year. She was a really avid fan, found this first at home, found Pevolve at home, and realized just how different it was. She saw a friend have a real transformation, asked what she was doing, found out it was Pevolve, ordered everything and got it to her house and started to realize, just how different it was. I think prior to her joining, I'll tell you, we were building this modality, this functional movement and resistance-based training with a ton of efficacy. We're in multiple clinical studies. We've been able to prove out that by practicing Pevolve, you can significantly decrease your lower back pain, that we can, through the University of Exeter clinical studies, that we can, significantly improve your balance for a perimenopause, postmenopause, menopausal woman, which is like groundbreaking and profound because that really impacts your quality of life. So we were going well beyond the lifted butt, the toned thighs, the strong core, which everyone cares about, but it was going to take a lot of education. And I think Jennifer, the first time she got on the phone with us, she's just like, where have you been? And I'm going to use my platform as a megaphone to make sure that I'm not only building brand awareness, but also furthering the credibility behind, really what it is that you're doing. And that is, we're building something that allows you to move your body today, but also 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And I think that is something I'm incredibly proud of. We're so blessed and lucky that, she came to us and wanted to help us, because obviously it is. We've had a significant amount of growth over the past couple of months. But as far as the disruptor, I too, I really believe in the hybrid model. We've always been building a hybrid model, much like Lindsay said, we're a franchise business. So we've awarded about 30 franchises, and any studio location has full access to our on-demand platform 24/7. And we believe in that customer behavior. But also I think, the other disruption, in my humble opinion, is the fact that we're so science-led. We've got a team of doctors that sit on our board, obviously our focus in clinical studies, and just this like crusade, of there's a better way to move your body, and it's no longer about breaking it down. It's really about building it up. So we're really excited about what's ahead.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I feel like we got a little sneak peek, a little insight into Pevolve. So Rachel, there are a lot of client management and retention products on the market right now. However, Arquetta seems to help studios build community in addition to those traditional retention techniques. So, how important is community in today's boutique wellness market? And how have you seen this space evolve since those pre COVID days?
Yeah, so if anyone forgot, this magical thing called COVID happened. And I like to say it flipped the entire industry on its head, kind of like a chess board. All of the pieces were blown into different places. And where we saw our key differentiator is that we're built hybrid from the ground up. And so everyone here has been mentioning that in addition to classes, they're starting to see digital content offerings, offering e-commerce products, physical products, offering teacher trainings, retreats. Maybe those are now virtual to be more price sensitive. We're the first platform that from the ground up offers one ecosystem to offer in-person and online services for classes and beyond with one data source. And right now that's really challenging for businesses trying to grow and scale quickly to have 3 different logins, one login for the video library, another login for group class bookings, and then a third login for nutrition coaching and to maybe buy your cool P-Valve equipment. And so where we've really seen that disruption is studios looking for one source of data. And then the second thing that we've seen huge success with is our team. People are looking to buy from a product with a team who's actually in the wild doing the thing, as opposed to we're going to build booking management software, but we've never really worked behind a desk or have been in a class. I've taken thousands of classes and have taught myself. I actually started at Core Power Yoga with Sarah. And so I've done everything from cleaning the studios to being behind the desk to teaching myself. And when I'm not working at Arquetta, I'm with the community. And I probably spend 8 to 10 hours a day with my best friends being managers and owners and in the space. And so I think where we've really been able to differentiate is, yes, we have software, but 2, we've built a network of just trying to connect other people to one another. And that's been really successful.
Awesome. Now, Sarah, like we've mentioned, Core Power Yoga's senior leadership team is all female, which is rare in this industry, especially for such a big brand. So how important is having that kind of representation, and how does it change the way Core Power does business and make decisions?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be repetitive, but has been very important. As I mentioned, 80% of our students are female, and I would say our teachers, we have over 5,000 teachers. So when I think of who we're serving, we're not only serving our students, but we're also serving our teachers. So as we think about who's up there making these decisions and really driving the strategy and the vision go forward, it's imperative that, and it's super helpful and very effective that we have an all-female leadership team. And I would say it's an all-female leadership team that comes from a very diverse background. We've got 1/3 of the leadership team is people of color. We come from different industries, and we have very different personalities and ways of approaching a problem. So we've got that diversity that helps us really stay open and be collaborative. And we're very keen on continuing to include more diverse perspectives. And so in many ways, because we've created this culture of openness, collaboration, kindness, people don't need to wear their armors. I mentioned this before, but there's less politicking, or you're less worried about what you're going to say. And so there's more efficiency in decision making. We don't need to worry about, are you going to say the wrong thing or taking risks, because it's a culture of, love that we've created. And as a result, we're making faster decisions. We're standing up tests much more quickly. And then when we're looking at new markets, or when we're looking at expanding classes to serve other genders, like more men, we're bringing in more men. We're talking about, okay, let's do focus groups with men, because we know that this doesn't represent who we are, and we need to bring that diversity in. So it really does help with faster, more efficient decision making, and it makes the workplace more fun.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So as this conversation comes to an end today, can each of you leave us with your biggest piece of advice for female entrepreneurs? looking to make it in fitness and wellness today. Lindsay, can we start with you?
Yeah, my biggest piece of advice is just to not be afraid to fail fast. And I feel like we've created a culture at Fit On that's all about failing fast. And we've had over 100 app releases in 2 years, and we've tried all sorts of different things. And we've just had this culture of iterating, learning, and we're in a category that's evolving. I mean, health and fitness, there could not be more like that, that it changes every single day. And so having that kind of ability to fail fast and try new things and, dream big about it. I love it that, we've been working with other major celebrities like Gab Union and Jonathan Mendez and Julian Huff in our history. And it was just about asking for, things that we wanted to do and never saying no. We've been moving into the healthcare space and learning a ton there and seeing it as a huge opportunity to change population health as well. And so I think there's always a lot of big companies out there. They don't move that fast. So if you're willing to fail first and make it a superpower of yours and kind of use it as a lifeblood of the culture of your company to change with your customer mindset, it will really help create a fantastic, sustainable business.
Great advice. Julie, what advice would you have?
I mean, my advice is, I think, pretty simple. I would say that you need to be passionate about what you're doing. It shows. You need to be determined and you need to work really, really hard. I think that the things on top of that are non-negotiable is you have to build a really good product. And you have to know who you're serving and just stay very authentic there. And I think that's what it takes to really be successful.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing with us. Now, Rachel, what last piece of advice would you leave?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Success doesn't come from one person. It comes from a team. And so I'm not shy when I need help or when I have an ask for someone. And so how this really started for me is whenever I meet someone brand new, whether they're asking something from me, I need something from them, I always end the call with, how can I help you? And at first they're like super taken aback. They're like, whoa, what's the catch? They normally look at me like, what's the catch? And genuinely, when I'm asking, how can I help? There is no catch. I genuinely believe that if we as women and beyond support one another and do nice things for one another with nothing intended and nothing in return, it really goes a long way. And I do that with all of my one-on-ones too with employees. I end every one-on-one with, if I could do one thing for you that would move the needle, what would that be? And I think supporting one another goes a long way. And then of course I always have my asks as well. And I think it's a beautiful ecosystem to create, especially for women. So one piece of advice is if you need help, ask for it. And if you have that resourcing, which I'm blessed enough now to have an incredible network, give it without even being asked. It goes a long way.
Another great tip, another great piece of advice. So Sarah, anything you want to add to this list we're building?
No, I think the list is really great. I mean, I guess the one thing I would just reiterate, which all of you have done so well, is just the mentoring, the board of directors. I think there is so much richness in all of your experiences and all of the experiences of other folks who've built businesses to tap into that. And if they can at least, I mean, it sounds like, Lindsay, you've collected so many in the course of a few years. Like, it doesn't take a lot. But if you can access a few board of directors who you can tap into, and then, allow yourself to get to C versus having to go through A, B, that really helps create shortcuts. So I would say mentorship, board of directors.
Fantastic advice. Thank you all for your time today and sharing your journeys. It is invaluable to get to have a seat at the table with you. And thank you to our audience today for watching.